Hello, if you want to watch exclusive lemon content on What If Naruto, then go to my Boosty. The first link in the description here contains such hot stories for adults, such as What If Naruto was a daddy for Sarada, or Kushina and Mikoto Vulgar Naruto Mommies. Follow the link and enjoy. I'm waiting for you.
Neji had maintained his reputation as the most talented Yuga to ever grace his clan when he made Hounen just 2 years after Genin. Already he often stated in the council that the purity of Neji's Yakugan was similar to that of the first of his clan. His thoughts were pushed aside as Tsunade looked at him with a considerate expression. "That's an interesting proposal, Shikamaru. Quite bold, I dare say. You know that Orochimaru has been hiding in Oto with all those missing ninjas surrounding him. He hasn't been seen for the last 3 years. It will be an exceptionally tough experience. Mission if it is approved," Tsunade said sternly, looking at the Chunin. "That's true, Okage-sama. But we need someone to infiltrate Otagakure to acquire information about its defenses. My father has received information that Orochimaru has acquired a battalion of Iwanin to reinforce the structure of the outer wall. Akatsuki is building its strengths quite slowly, but they are doing it for sure," he said. Tsunade nodded slowly. "True. Orochimaru is reserved and cunning, and I'm afraid he's not planning anything good. Who would you suggest to go on this mission to Oto?" "Any ninja who specializes in stealth would do, Okage-sama," Shikamaru said, but his reality became stricter. When he emphasized an ideal team would be composed of "This is a very high-level mission. But we may need an S-ninja class to participate, I'm afraid. Orochimaru is too cunning not to anticipate such an attempt. S-class ninja is scarce, Shikamaru and Hatsuna of with acidity. Kakashi might be one, but his only responsibility at the moment is to train Sasuke. People would laugh if I started doing missions myself. There really is no one else capable of handling Orochimaru in Konoha, except a very select few." "What about Hirai Yasama?" Shikamaru asked curiously. "We haven't heard from him or Naruto recently. They seem to have disappeared off the face of the earth," Tsunade said in frustration. "Even Kushina doesn't know anything. She has her hands full with that Mizukage. I want to go and tell that stupid fuck what I think for keeping one foot out of the door for so long. We must settle for the Raikage and Kumo, Okage-sama," Shikamaru said. Even though Kushina-sama tried her best to bring Mizu, despite the friendship Mizukage professed with her, Shikamaru shook his head. The town of Mist was turning out to be the only wild card in the whole thing. They were choosing neutrality at the moment. "I think so," Tsunade said. "Akatsuki will make his move soon. We must be ready to send teams to Kumo at any time. The Ichibi must be protected at all costs, just like the Nibi. I have received information. Most likely, the attack will not be on a large scale. An ambush is expected. I can help predict the chances of attack, Okage-sama. It should help make our deployment more focused," Shikamaru said. Tsunade nodded. "Do it? I expect the report in 3 days," he ordered, and Shikamaru immediately disappeared with a shunsen. He ran through the main streets of Kono towards the library, jumping over several rooftops as he did so. His mind ran through several scenarios to solve the problem at hand, considering and rejecting several possibilities simultaneously. "Shikamaru?" Yamanaka Hino shouted, jumping forward from his left. Shikamaru turned and greeted his bubbly teammate. Hino stopped in front of him and hit him on the head. "Well, there you have it. I thought we were going to have a barbecue with Chuji, watch him devour the whole restaurant. But we've been waiting too long, and I just can't stand Choji's tantrums." "I'm sure," Shikamaru said weakly. It was too troublesome, and she did not interrupt him with an angry look. He paused right there, removing his sad excuse immediately. With a sigh, he followed his former teammate towards the only place he seemed to frequent more than his own house. His trained shinobi senses detected something strange while he was traveling through the village. There was no wind at all, but the trees of Konoha rustled indiscriminately. Hino looked at him curiously and also noticed the same thing. It was strange. What was that? Shikamaru asked as the slight rustling seemed to permeate Konoha more and more. Hino pointed at the streets, noticing several blurred spots running through the village towards the west gate. Shikamaru's eyes widened. Ambu and the entire Hounen elite whispered in alarm when they saw Mitarashi, Gemma, and Ratty crossing the village. To his left, he could catch Oba and his team running full speed towards the door. The rustling of the trees increased tremendously. Every tree in Konoha seemed to swing into place, and Shikamaru's eyes opened when he could see new leaves sprouting from the branch he was standing on. "No way," Hino said, looking at the flowers that were blooming continuously above her. The two Konoha shinobi seemed to stay still when they felt a sense of happiness and belonging invading them. And the trees began to shed their flowers a season ahead of time. He heard three Shunshins to his right and observed Aburame Shino, Yuganei and Rogel approaching him with urgent expressions. "Shikamaru, Shikakusen requests your presence at the west gate. All the Hounen are gathering there, along with Ambu. I guess it's an invading force." Shikamaru shook his head. He knew exactly who was coming and for sure they were not invaders. Nodding her head, she ran towards the west door with a feeling of elation and hope. When Konoha began to cover herself with flowers of all kinds, the west gate was filled with rows and rows of Hounen and Ambu, and he could see his father standing impassively to the right of the Okage. To the left of the Okage were Atake Kakashi and his current apprentice Uchiha Sasuke. Sasuke had also grown tremendously. His skill was being promoted everywhere. Kakashi's apprentice was known to have achieved mastery of the Sharingan, and his Shunsin was arguably the most acclaimed technique in his arsenal. Sasuke had already completed several S-rank limit missions without too much effort, and his enterprise and skill had earned him several accolades. Shikamaru quickly headed towards the lodge and was quite surprised to see the 9 rookies gathered with the Zambu. When Hino and the others went to join them, he headed straight towards the Okage. "Okage-sama, Tuzan, what's the situation?" he asked dryly. Tsunade didn't say anything. She just pointed to an empty place in front of them 100 meters away. The eyes of all the Hounens and Sasuke were fixed on the same place, but he didn't see anything. And that, before he could reply, a large puff of white smoke appeared at the exact spot Tsunade had pointed out. But no one seemed to be alarmed in the slightest. Shikamaru recognized the phenomenon and found himself frowning. "Hello, Tsunade." A scream came from within the cloud of smoke, and Shikamaru frowned even more. This was too troublesome. I could hear coughing sounds inside the smoke, and a voice that seemed to be trying to speak. But it was cut off by the large amount of white smoke floating everywhere. "Jiraiya, your theater is old like you, Jester," Tsunade said in an angry voice, as a tall figure with abundant white hair became visible. More alarming was the fact that he seemed to be doing a ridiculous dance, jumping around singing praises of himself. "A privilege to know me, the gallant Jiraiya," she screamed as she raised her hands in a pose that did not inspire fear. Another figure stood to his right, as tall as he was. When the smoke cleared, Shikamaru could see a young man, as powerful as Jiraiya himself. "Could you please give me a heads up before you release that little puff of smoke?" the young man demanded in a frustrated voice. "That smoke tends to suffocate me too much," he coughed, and Shikamaru felt the absolute silence of the village Jounin. "Forget it, Gaki," Jiraiya said. "You will never understand the meaning of epic entries. You have no idea how to wow your audience into submission." The young man scoffed in disbelief, and with a final cough, raised his head to face them all. Tsunade came closer and whispered, "Naruto, is it really you?" The Rocky Nine were also frozen by the surprise. The young man next to Jiraiya was the spitting image of Namikaze Minato, but with differences. He was of stouter build than the late fourth, and was much taller. The smooth golden hair fell down to her shoulders, supported by Konoha's headband. His face had a lot of his father, a trace of his mother, and something he couldn't identify. Naruto's forest green eyes seemed to burn like green embers, and Shikamaru could barely see past the deception. He could see that Naruto had grown enormously, and he dared not guess how much. "Oh, hello," the young man coughed shyly, as Jiraiya tapped him on the back. "Hey, Sasuke, I see you've become stronger." And look at them all, he exclaimed, pointing furiously at each of the novice 9. They're not kids anymore, huh? They just looked at him. Well, Tobe smiled Sasuke. Kakashi smiled as only he could, and Sasuke continued. I see you finally grasped the concept of people getting older. I never thought that you, of all people, would understand. Shikamaru didn't say anything, while Jiraiya was laughing eagerly at the joke, and some jounin were laughing too. Even Tsunade smiled, and turned to the assembled Zambu and jounin with her orders. The alarm was false. Tell the sensory unit it wasn't an assault. Everyone can leave now. With curious and euphoric looks, all the assembled Hounen scattered, leaving only Jiraiya, Naruto, Kakashi, Shikamaru and Sasuke with the Hokage. Naruto stepped forward to meet the Hokage with a serious expression. I'm ready to cure her. Cure who? Shikamaru thought, but Tsunade nodded. I'm glad, we were getting worried. The hospital has been left alone, and we have sealed it for all the shinobi. She is ready for her healing. Do they know that? Naruto asked, pointing to Sasuke and Shikamaru. Tsunade shook her head. But Shikamaru should be informed as soon as possible. He is our main strategist, and Sasuke, I think you will tell yourself that. Say what? Sasuke asked curiously. Naruto nodded to Jiraiya and turned to Shikamaru. Hey Shikamaru, I know you know several secrets being the head of strategy, but mine is more important than you can imagine. Tell him after the procedure, Naruto. Jiraiya said and Naruto nodded. Shikamaru followed him with a puzzled expression as they made their way to the old hospital. And he could also see the puzzled expression mirrored on Sasuke's. But the others knew it, for they had not perplexity, but hope and satisfaction. What could Naruto be hiding? With some lazy shunshins, Naruto stood in front of the hospital, which was declared off limits to all shinobi except Hokage. 3 years. It had been 3 years since his awakening, 3 years since his wife had been brought down by the treacherous attack of pain and the impostor. He could feel the emotions of the whole village gently pressing on him. He knew that his arrival had created a furor. That would have to be dealt with later. Why are we here, Naruto? Shikamaru asked. Naruto turned to the Chuonin, immersing himself in his sensory abilities. He could sense absolutely no deceit in Shikamaru, except for a well-concealed disposition. 3 years had turned them all into young men, not quite men, but close enough. He, of course, was a different matter. Looking at Tsunade, he said, I think they are worthy of my secrets, Tsunade. I'll tell them. Sasuke deserves to know, and Shikamaru is, according to you, a potential planner of Konoha's strategy. Tsunade nodded her head, and Kakashi smiled as he saw Sasuke looking curiously at Naruto. Shikamaru remained silent and followed Naruto as he led them into the leafy interiors of the hospital. A strange chakra permeated the entire building, seemingly rejuvenating its occupants like a dose of pills for soldiers. Naruto resolutely walked through the hallways to the place where his wife was waiting for healing, focusing his chakra as he did so. Mito had suffered too much and would not allow her to do it anymore. In a few moments, he had reached the room that he had sealed with the wooden release and felt the wonder of Sasuke and Shikamaru. The place was awash with the power of his senjutsu, and he couldn't help but feel a sense of pride for a job well done. True, 3 years ago, his control of his chakra was abominable at best, as he used to release chakra whenever he got stressed. But he was better now. Much better, and closer to the supreme ability he once possessed as Isirama Senju. What is this place? Sasuke whispered, for his Sharingan, the tree-covered doors were absolutely on fire with a silver chakra. That made him want to laugh with ecstasy. Such was its effectiveness and power that even the labeling as Emichia drew a wide smile. My own chakra, Naruto said absently, as the trees opened up for him. The door opened and the shinobi entered behind Naruto to see another impressive sight. Tsunade and Jiraiya watched intently as Naruto quickly walked towards Mito and put his palm to his forehead. The earth shook when the 8 wooden pillars were returned to him, and the trees in the room began to return to their origin. Tsunade leaned over to whisper in Jiraiya's ear. Can you do it? Jiraiya scoffed. Tsunade, he is who he is. If the last 3 years of walking with him have taught me anything, it's not to doubt him. Just watch. Mito-sama will be cured, even if it is theoretically impossible. Naruto heard that and smiled at Jiraiya. The man knew more about him than anyone, except perhaps myth. His encounters with his mother were few and sporadic, and were fraught with so much tension that they often forced him to consider Kurama's doubts about his mother. What's going on here? Shikamaru questioned perspicaciously, looking around the place with his characteristic bored gaze. Kakashi stood with Jiraiya and Tsunade, and they just watched in silence while Naruto joined his palms on the sea tiger. That woman is about to die, Sasuke observed quietly, but no one turned to him. His Sharingan was at the Mangekyo stage, and he could clearly see the paths. What had happened to him was truly appalling. Sasuke whispered to Kakashi, and his chakra source has been broken, I have no idea how. Trying to cure her is crazy. Shikamaru's eyes widened at this, but Naruto opened his eyes to look at them with a determination that silenced his objections immediately. This time, there was no visible manifestation of chakra around Naruto, but Sasuke could see how much chakra was contained in his body. It was a miracle that it did not explode, taking the whole of Konoha with it. She's my wife. Mito is my wife, Naruto said quietly, and saw Shikamaru making the connections quickly. Sasuke just looked at him in perplexity, but Naruto could see that the slightest hint of understanding came over him. He had waited 3 years for this moment, learning and training in a way that had almost brought him down. Mito started breathing hard on her face-down form, and Naruto turned to look at her. I had created this technique after 2 years of arduous research, the culmination of healing techniques in all countries. Tsunade watched anxiously as Naruto's hands went through the seals in a sequence that even Sasuke couldn't follow. Sasuke, I need your help, Naruto said as he blurred out the seal sequence. Sasuke started with that. Naruto was never one to ask for help. With a glance at Kakashi, he advanced, stopping at Naruto's side in an instant. With a final seal, he separated his hands and placed one on Mito's chest and one on his forehead. Can you manipulate the shape of lightning and fire? He asked intensely. Sasuke nodded and held out his hands. The room lit up as fire and lightning crackled in his palms, and Naruto nodded approvingly. He turned to Tsunade. I need Sasuke because I will merge all the elemental natures to feed my jutsu. This is how the human body is composed, as you well know, he said, and proceeded to continue. Kakashi interrupted, however. What about the Jin and the January? Naruto smiled mysteriously and spread his hands widely to the side. Sasuke could see the earth chakra and the water chakra taking shape in both palms. And Naruto softly intoned to the earth Mokuta note and no jutsu. 4 huge wooden hands sprouted from the ground, rising up around him. Her palms had glowing green, white, silver, and black chakras. A stifled scream of pure surprise came from Shikamaru, who knew exactly what it took to split chakra in so many ways. His suspicions were confirmed when he saw the Naruto show, consciously molding the 8 different pure chakras into a single sphere that hovered over Mito. You'd better close your eyes, Naruto, he calmly advised them as the glow of the sphere grew to painful levels. It seemed to be powered by the chakras in Sasuke's hands, Naruto, and wooden arms. Shikamaru could only stand with increasing certainty, while the Hokage and the 2 S-rank ninjas simply watched solemnly. Tenta and Omo and Yari heard Naruto's voice, and the light from the sphere consumed everything as it merged with Mito's slowly diminishing body. Shikamaru closed his eyes tightly, wrapping himself with the shadows that his clan used as well. I could never have expected Naruto to be the one for everyone, he thought as he avoided the painful light. With the Nara clan's shadow manipulation, he saw Jiraiya's hair lengthen and expand to protect himself and Tsuna from Deljutsu. And he thought he saw some kind of skeleton enclosing Sasuke. Kakashi couldn't see anywhere in the room. What a twist of fate. Of all the people in Konoha, Naruto is him. Of all people, Hitachi came Orochimaru's sibilant whisper while handling an unknown compound in his laboratory. The Sannin snake turned to the one that had seemingly appeared out of nowhere in his lab, pulling down the hood disdainfully. Orochimaru replied Itachi in a low voice. Have you finished recreating it? Pain hopes it will be in his hands very soon. He did not risk using the creation of all things just to please your image. Imagination of the power of the Sage of the Six Paths. The damp basement seemed to become more melancholy as Orochimaru let out his dark laugh. Carefully replacing the vial of a bright red liquid in its holder, he wiped his hands and turned to Itachi. The pain demands a lot. That metal is not very easy to make malleable, Itachi. It will take time, he said condescendingly. Itachi looked at him uneasily for a moment, and then nodded slightly. So be it. Pain has a message for you. If you think you can betray us again, you will be destroyed without hesitation, Itachi said. Yes, while sinisterly leaving existence, Orochimaru only laughed at Lucia's words. He knew very well how irritable Pain could be. A dark corner in the laboratory moved, and out came his promising subordinate, Kabuto. Orochimaru-sama. What do you think Akatsuki will do with the article? He asked curiously. The Rinnegan has the ability to manipulate all the elements without so much crutch. It seems like an inordinate effort to get something they already have. Orochimaru's face turned thoughtful. For all his intelligence and insight, he had wondered the same thing. Why the hell would Pain ask for such a thing? Things were happening that he didn't know about, and not knowing something was a big irritant to the Sannin snake. I don't know, Kabuto admitted in disgust. But I'll find out. Naruto had just finished activating the powerful privacy seal on the Okage Tower and quietly sat down in a rather comfortable chair. Relief was written all over his face. Mito's healing had gone better than I had expected. Everyone had gathered at the Okage Tower, with Shikamaru staring at Naruto with a white, astonished face. A wide smile suddenly appeared on Naruto's face, and he suddenly started dancing with anime tears running down his face. They stared at him. Shikamaru looked so shocked that he might as well faint. She's cured, she's cured. Naruto continued to sing continuously, while performing a rather disturbing jiga. Hirai already patted his face, and Sasuke looked directly into Naruto's eyes. Shut the fuck up. At this, Naruto's face fell, although joy remained in his eyes. I'm sorry about that, he said, scratching his head sheepishly. I'm just so happy. They heard a brief croaking sound, and turned to Shikamaru, who was making a series of such sounds. With an indignant hand pointing at Naruto. Tutu babbled, his face so white that Naruto was sure he would reach the whiteness of a radish. What? Sasuke asked irritably, somewhat alarmed by the unflappable Shikamaru's extreme reactions. He looked at Naruto with an insightful expression. True, the healing was extremely impressive. Jiraiya and Kakashi looked at Shikamaru amused and satisfied, enjoying the young Chunnin's reaction. Oh, you've deduced my identity, haven't you? Naruto asked happily. Sasuke stared at him with an expressionless look. Tobe, Shikamaru is not that dumb. No, you don't understand, Shikamaru blurted out. He is not Naruto. This is Senhua Shibama, said the Nara in a weak voice. Sasuke looked at him as if he had gone crazy, not noticing the complicit looks from the others. You've finally gone crazy, haven't you? It's not that you Nara people were any saner in the first place. And you call Uchiha unstable. You've gone crazy, Sasuke said, shaking his head miserably. Then he looked at Kakashi. Sensei, he heard that lot of C, he paused. You don't really believe him, do you? He asked in disbelief, pointing at Naruto furiously. You won't believe that the dobe here is actually the same as Shirama, will you? He can't be him. That would mean that it is stronger even than my ancestor Malara. That's impossible for someone like him. Hey, Naruto said indignantly. I beat Madara every time we fought, you know. I used to be better than him. Not to mention that you defeated me along with him, Kurama's rather muffled voice said. That wooden element of yours is really annoying. I have much more chakra than you, but you caught me too easily. This is crazy, Sasuke said. You're all crazy, he said in a blank voice, and tried to leave the room. Tsunade got up immediately. Back off, Sasuke. This is a secret of the SS class, and we will not let you go out freely with him, whether you believe in him or not. Listen carefully, Tsunade said, and presented the evidence supporting Naruto's claims, everything. An hour later, both Shikamaru and Sasuke were staring at Naruto in amazement. Naruto smiled faintly at them. Nice to meet you, Sasuke. For your information, you are nothing like Madara, he said reassuringly. Sasuke's eyes narrowed dangerously. Naruto waved his hands frantically. No, not like this, you are not from the darkness of Madara. You're much better than him. He shouted, making the struggling man calm down. Shikamaru weakly said Senhua Shirama. That's me, Naruto said, raising his hand cheerfully. Kakashi took a step forward. This is getting us nowhere, he said calmly. All these reactions are fun to watch, Naruto. I even hope to see other people's reactions to the truth of your past life, he said, causing Naruto to smile. But we need to know some things. We can't tell you everything at once, Jiraiya said immediately. We'll just cover the important points for now. It would take a long time to tell them everything. Right? He asked a pleasant Naruto, who was still enjoying relief and happiness. Yes, but keep it short, Naruto replied, and went back to rest relieved. Hirai already turned to them and started. We spent the first year traveling to hone our skills. We infiltrated Iwa at the end of that year. Early the next year, we were spotted by Pain, and I had to literally drag Naruto out of the village. For fighting Pain in the middle of his own base. It was silly. We were hiding near Otto for the next few months, during which I met Orochimaru and almost killed him. I also suffered serious injuries, and it took me another month to recover. Finally, during the last year, we wandered through the nations of Mizu and Kumo, occasionally meeting Kushina. It was during this time that the training yielded the greatest result, Jiraiya finished. In a room that was blinking after the too simplified account. I see, Tsunade said, blinking once in surprise. Naruto patted his forehead. Not so brief, you perverted hermit. He exclaimed. Hiraiya smiled at him, causing him to turn to Tsunade with an exasperated look. That's pretty much what happened, he said. Tsunade shook her head, looking at Hiraiya with an angry look. Idiot, that's why we couldn't get Orochimaru out of hiding. Now it turns out that it was you who did a half-assed job that cost us so much Sambu. Naruto was on immediate alert. Had they lost Ambu to Otagakure? Hiraiya's face showed complete surprise at the fact. What happened? Naruto asked seriously. Tsunade sighed, and Naruto felt a deep melancholy take over the room. His senses could sense a particular sadness from Sasuke, a guy who felt very familiar. A guy who felt. Who did you lose? Naruto asked Sasuke in a low voice. Kakashi shot him a warning look, but he needed to know. Sasuke lowered his gaze to the ground, and the fact that he was so controlled in his emotional display made Naruto realize how much he had grown. My sensei, Yuzuki Yugao. She taught me how to use the sword like a real shinobi, Sasuke said, clenching his fist briefly. Shikamaru was also very touching, and Naruto noticed it. What happened? He asked again. The Zanbu stationed near the Orochimaru base were receiving extremely strong chakra blasts, Tsunade said. They were ordered to investigate the base as soon as possible, and it was called S-rank mission. We lost contact with them a year ago. We assume that Orochimaru killed them all, he finished with a sad tone. But we almost died in that fight, both of us, Jiraiya said harshly. Even that creep would take a while to recover from that fight, so it couldn't have been him. Most likely it was someone else. It wouldn't end. Katsuki, either me or Naruto, would have felt his presence. He didn't necessarily say Naruto. I have been looking for Pain for a long time, and he has managed to evade me every time I think I have him. For the past year, I have been aware of Orochimaru's unnatural behavior, although it was never natural, he said with a hint of disgust. He wanted us to attack Otto, Sasuke growled, his eyes burning red. But she pointed at Tsunade furiously. She wouldn't let me go. He told me that I would be considered a nuclear ninja if I disobeyed his orders. He was right to do so, Sasuke said Shikamaru quietly. Before they could argue too much, Naruto intervened. Kakashi said out loud, "How strong do you think Sasuke is?" They all fell silent, looking curiously at the Jounin. Kakashi looked at Sasuke, and then at Naruto. After a few moments, he said in a low voice, "He can wake up Susanoo." Naruto's eyes opened. Memories were coming to him from his other life. Memories of a battle in which he and Madara fought as children. The moment when Madara showed him what it meant to possess the Magiccio Sharingan. He had little doubt that if one took the trouble to trace Sasuke and Itachi's lineage, they would inevitably be led to Madara. "Why is that?" Sasuke asked in a hollow voice. "My strength is useless if I can't use it to help my precious people," she said, throwing a dirty look at Tsunade, who returned her gaze firmly. Naruto raised his hand, drawing attention. "Do you think he can stop Orochimaru if it comes to that?" He questioned Kakashi intensely. The intrepid Jun frowned, considering his answer. Sasuke remained silent. "He can," Kakashi said briefly. "Not for long, but he can do it." Naruto nodded briefly. "I won't send him," Tsunade said firmly, prompting Naruto to turn to her. "I will not send that boy and allow Orochimaru to capture him or possibly kill him." "It's not necessary," Naruto said and smiled grimly. Hirai's eyes already opened, he knew that tone. Before he could say anything, Naruto had said his part. "I know you want to expel Orochimaru. She won't expel him unless there's a reason." "I can be that reason," Naruto said in a serious voice. "Sasuke needs to rescue his Kenjutsu sensei. You need information about Orochimaru, and I really don't like Katsuki. If I create a distraction, you can sneak even into Sasuke. I occupy those Otagakure for long enough for the ninjas to complete their missions." "Everyone wins, except Oto," Naruto said triumphantly. The room was too quiet. But finally Shikamaru broke it. "Your plan would be good, but for the fact that the moment you use Makuten, it would alert the Akatsuki nations about premature actions. We are not ready for a war yet." "He's right," Kakashi said. Naruto shook his head slightly. "I won't use Makuten, then. I could defeat Izuna without him, and I would kill Kakuzu without him. I can definitely handle Orochimaru's heterogeneous army without him," Kono said. "Firmness. Are you completely sure?" Tsunade asked in a grave voice. Naruto nodded, but Jiraiya screamed desperately. "You can't be serious. You haven't seen those distractions of his, and me. He will raise Otagakure to the ground again. Believe me, I would know. Why do you think Orochimaru is reinforcing it with earthen walls?" "Perverted hermit!" Naruto shouted in return. "Orochimaru had stabbed you with Kusanagi, and I had to do something. Killing that snake would take too long, and you were dying fast. It was the best thing I could think of at the time." "Good," grunted Jiraiya. Everyone looked at them with amazement, Tsunade with exasperation. "Really? That's the reason we're in this mess. Your solutions are sometimes too drastic, or Hissen," she exclaimed. Naruto raised his hands in surrender. "I said it would help, didn't I? So, what do you say about my plan?" Naruto asked curiously. Everyone looked at Tsunade, who asked Shikamaru. "I don't find any really debilitating consequences. Can you do it?" she asked. "What if he comes to Katsuki?" Nara asked. Naruto's eyes were filled with a terrible anger. "Let them come. They've been slipping away from me for quite some time, they've been staying away from me quite prudently. If they come, I will tear them to pieces," he promised viciously. Sasuke looked at this side of Naruto in alarm. The truth about Uzumaki had not yet been assimilated. But now he could see traces of something much older and more powerful than he could imagine on Dobi's face. And he could begin to accept the impossible. True. That Naruto was Senhua Shirama reborn into the world. "And I'm sure you will," Shadai-sama managed to say Shikamaru. Naruto waved his hand towards Nara, calming down immediately. "Don't call me that, Shikamaru. I am him, but not quite. It would be an abomination for the dead to be claimed in this way. I'm Esirama, but Naruto best describes my personality." Shikamaru nodded shyly. "The time is coming," Hiraiya said suddenly. "Intel has come to me that Akatsuki is starting to make a move on Ichibi and Nijiri. This means that Kumogakure is in danger. All for the better, Naruto said calmly. Tsunade turned to him in disbelief. How can you say that? He demanded. Simple. I attack Otto, we paralyze his presence in that area. They will not strike back until it is really necessary, not until they are directly threatened. Pain doesn't mind that peripheral support as long as he's obsessed with the Biju. This is our best chance to eliminate Otagakure with a minimum of interference, he said, his eyes sparkling with excitement. So, as long as Akatsuki is concentrating on the Hinchiriki, they won't be concentrating too much on Otto, Tsunade said thoughtfully. It will not turn into a war for which we are not really prepared. It will be a minor battle at best, he said, reflecting the sly look in Naruto's eyes. I don't care, Sasuke said. I just want to rescue my sensei. And we will rescue her, Naruto said kindly. And along with that, we will give a nice surprise to Orochimaru. I still haven't forgiven him for almost killing the pervert here, or for resurrecting my family in such an abominable way. Are you going to take a team with you? Shikamaru asked curiously. Naruto didn't say firmly. I will cause widespread panic in Oto with my attack, and everyone will pile on me in their haste. Sasuke will mix with the confusion and search the base to complete the mission. However, I would appreciate it if Kakashi is here with me. You have business here, don't you, Erosanin? Yes, I do, Hiraya said. I have important things to do. If you try to spy on Shizune or me one more time, Tsunade threatened with cracking knuckles. Hiraya has already vehemently denied it. It would be an honor, Naruto, Kakashi said out loud. Naruto nodded. Excellent, he said, and looked at Sasuke, who shot him a look that said, you have to ask. We're going out tomorrow then, okay? Naruto asked Tsunade. The Hokage nodded in anticipation. Put it down, asshole. Let's end Orochimaru once and for all. They are nothing in front of my eyes, Sasuke said arrogantly. Naruto laughed wistfully, causing Sasuke to turn to him with a puzzled look. After a few moments of brief laughter, he said, in many ways, you are like my old friend Madara. He said the exact same thing when the two of us fought the original Yotsuki clan army. But that was when we were friends, he recalled sadly. Shota and Reikaikuji's personal army, right after Konoha was built, Shikamaru asked with wide eyes. Nodding his head, Naruto said that army was 7,000 shinobi. Naruto scratched his head, remembering him and Madara standing next to each other, as they literally massacred the entire army. He had only sought to incapacitate them, but Madara did not hesitate. No, I think it was more like 9,000, Naruto confessed. Sasuke let out an exclamation of surprise. 9,000. He choked back in a stunned whisper. Kakashi shook his head in resignation. Madara came close to killing the man who would become Shota and Reikaikuji. The man had given up, he was too afraid of our strength. He said we were not of this world, Naruto recalled. I had everyone in my half immobilized and incapacitated, and Madara had killed everyone in his half of the army. I mean everyone. I was disgusted by his actions and prevented him from delivering the final blow. Since then, he always started calling me a soft-hearted fool who did not know how to kill his enemies. Did you stop your half of an army of 9,000 shinobi without killing them? Shikamaru asked in a weak voice. If that's true, then I don't think we'll have too many problems with Otto. I'm inclined to agree, Kakashi said with his understated humor. Naruto looked at Tsunade seriously. I wish to be back before Mito wakes up, for which I give a week. It will take time for your body to fully recover. We must begin with our preparations. Kurama, it's time for me to keep my promise. So you're not resisting like I expected. When will you do it? I'd let loose right on Orochimaru, you know. I could smash that mud hole he's got for you, you know, some kind of parting gift. I appreciate the offer. I really do. But I'd rather the world not know that you're free. Although you come in of you wishing you could, I won't be able to stop them if you're not present. Reikaikuji has the amber sealing pot, and there are shinobi who are experts in the sealing. True indeed. Will you let me out here right in sight of Konoha? It can be fun. For you maybe. No. I will release you the moment we are at a safe distance from Konoha. I swear by my ancestors and my unborn grandchildren that you will never face me as an opponent again, not for my own lesson. What? What? I think you're really serious, aren't you? About freeing myself and the promise not to seek me out for power. No kidding, QB. I never break my word. I am a former Okage, after all. I hope you will stay hidden when you are free, Kurama. If the pain comes to you with its external way, all your infinite chakra will not be able to save you. A long hour of silence followed as Naruto ran through the trees, Kakashi and Sasuke easily following. And then, I know. He wields that power too well. It's what created me, and it can cause me endless problems. That's why. No, don't tell me. Shut the fuck up. That's why I will help you in your endeavor. Peace is also conducive to me, Naruto. I can fade into darkness that way when men no longer want me for my power. I'll have you as my Hinchiriki for now. But I will keep your promise when the time comes. Fine. I wouldn't want you to be captured anyway. And I will keep the promise I made to you when you demand it. Someday, I will make sure that human evil never touches Viju again. Normally, I would laugh heartily at such a statement, the Kyuubi said quietly. But if anyone has the opportunity for something like this, it's you. You remind me a lot of Grandpa, with all your ridiculous idealism and convictions. Grandpa, do you mean the Rikodo Sennin? But the Kyuubi had gone silent, which caused Naruto to go silent as well. Kurama's sudden faith in him was touching. I could barely comprehend the countless centuries of suffering there must have been. Past the beasts with tails. It filled him with great shame that he, too, had been a party in the conquest of his power. The balance of power, huh? He muttered softly to himself, shaking his head in disgust. Using such originally pure beings as pawns in useless games. For the power. He must have been crazy in his other life. I can see your soul, QB, as it resides within mine. You are not a mass of hate, like I once foolishly thought you were. You were made that way by us, by humans. I still feel embarrassed about that. I would set you free this instant, but by your own decision. The warm recognition of the strongest of the Vihul put a smile on his face, and he rushed forward with renewed vigor. When he asked Mito to seal the Kirby inside herself, she did it without hesitation, and without asking him why. You could not criticize Mito. His beautiful wife was always there to support him in every possible way. Just like I wasn't there for her in this life. I keep failing continuously it seems, he thought to himself sadly. It was his fault that day, his fault that so much suffering had been doled out to maintain the balance of power. His fault was that he had foolishly and naively thought that distributing the Bijals as weapons to the other nations would keep the balance. He shook his head sadly. The very act of distribution was wrong. How could an act, born of ignorance and negligence, produce something inherently good? He had begun to regret that fact now, a lifetime later. The fact that he had even disturbed entities like Viju. Foolish pride of his early youth, no doubt. A cycle of suffering had begun that had thrown a big wrench into Rikudo's intentions for Viju. It was a direct disrespect to Ninja's father and his own ideals. But I'll finish it in this lifetime, he promised himself. One day he would gather all the 9 Vihuls, earn their respect, and give them the choice to be free. He had made a terrible mistake in allowing the Vihuls to be used as before, and the nations were paying a terrible price for it now. Tobe, you're fine? Sasuke asked with a voice of fake concern. Naruto nodded when Kakashi ordered a halt in the middle of the forest. We will pause here for the night. At least we're within sight of Inokuni. We should also plan how we are going to accomplish this mission, the copy ninja said in his lazy voice. The wood rose from the ground on tall pillars, molding into fantastic shapes to form a beautiful house of traditional architecture. Flowers bloomed through its sloping tiles, and detailed stone sculptures rose on both sides of its entrance. Thank you, Naruto, Kakashi said kindly, as Sasuke gaped at the palatial house. That Naruto had built in seconds. "Well, are you coming or not?" Naruto asked as he happily walked towards the house he had created. When he opened the doors, a smile appeared on his face. "It seems my attention to detail has improved," he said, pointing to the carvings on the ceiling and walls. The roof of the building was transparent and allowed them to see the night sky in all its splendor. But the house brand itself was quite real. Sasuke shook his head, feeling deeply moved by the things that Makuden could create. As a tool to build or a force to destroy, he had no equal. He bent enough of his pride to admit that not even the Sharingan could pull off something like this. Sharingan was just about endless conflict and destruction. Not like Naruto's Mokuto, who could generate a beauty like this one. Even when Makuden destroyed, he created. Even when he took several lives on the battlefield, he created several living plants. He had begun to think of the Susanoo as his ultimate tool of destruction. Several times he had used it to destroy the unfortunate ninjas he had encountered in the other missions. Naruto looked at Sasuke, feeling in the Uchiha an all too familiar emotion. It was a weariness of conflict, a hatred of malice, and at the same time an impulse to do everything necessary to end suffering. But there was the choice. The fine line between Madara and himself was in that choice. The fine line between pain and him was also in that choice. The choice of how to end suffering. "I will place intruder alert seals over the perimeter," Kakashi said, and disappeared from view. Naruto sat down on the bed with a sigh and turned to Sasuke, who was busy organizing his belongings. "I know it's not my place, but I can feel your melancholy. Talking will help, you know. It's never good for us shinobi to suppress our feelings," he said gently. He had seen firsthand the effects of such actions. It would lead the shinobi to despair and anger, and that would be the beginning of death. Sasuke placed his bedspread carefully and also sat down on his bed. He looked around the large room with a feeling of envy, feeling the beautiful wood that made it. The room itself was furnished with all the necessary comforts for a house, some so ostentatious that I doubted even the daimyo's house had such things. For one thing, I didn't think a makeshift camp justified a very polished teak dining table. His Sharingan could easily tell that such a thing would cost hundreds of thousands of Rillo. Even he couldn't find fault with its structure or smoothness. He turned to Naruto and indicated the whole house with a hand gesture. "Everything." This he said gently. "I'm starting to feel a lack of pride in my Sharingan," he confessed, drawing an absolutely shocked look from Naruto. That was certainly not what I expected to hear, that too from an Uchiha fan like Sasuke. "And that, I know, it's fun for you. But I'm starting to feel tired of our life of anger and murder, that's all. To kill, to gather power, to kill, to become powerful, to become stronger. It's a vicious circle," Sasuke said regretfully. Naruto waited, knowing that Sasuke was suffering deeply. Konoha had once again failed to follow his edicts. A long time ago, he had made it a law that children should not participate in missions, and yet Sasuke had been forced to do so. There was no remedy for that, but it was sad to see the desperate face of the old veterans on a young face like Sasuke's. Killing fellow shinobi. "I know it's a necessity," Sasuke said quietly. "I had to kill several in my missions with Kakashi. But when I was forced to kill children, not much older than me and many times younger than me. One was just 12 years old. It was horrible. They came to me to kill me, and I killed them in return. But to see life come out of his eyes. Terrible," Sasuke said, shaking his head. Then he looked around the opulent castle that Naruto had summoned with his technique. "To see your Makuden being used in such a way is changing my conception of the world," he confessed. Naruto's eyes widened, looking at Lucia with interest. "Oh, how's that?" "For once, I don't want to destroy things. Seeing this beautiful house molded with such ease. I want to do something like that too. Sharingan can only destroy, never create. I have destroyed and destroyed, repeatedly. I've killed children." Here his mouth twisted in self-deprecation, and his eyes became distressed. You say that you are Esirama Senju reborn, so you can understand the joy of building eternal things, he said after a few moments. How did you build Konoha? I'm not talking about the story. I'll listen to it another time. I mean, exactly how did you build Konoha? He counted See no Yoso, Naruto said softly. While the assembled clans of Uchiha and Senju were waiting there, I used Makuden to create what you know is the inner ring of Konoha today. I see, Sasuke said, trying to imagine such a scene. With your Makuden, you can build things. You can free entire lands from their drought, and your healing can bring people back from the dead. You have the strength to turn this world into a paradise, he said passionately. Naruto was stunned at Lucia's fervent proclamation. He had never heard any Uchiha speak like that. I had never suspected that Sasuke had changed so much in 3 years. No, he hadn't. These were deep thoughts that Sasuke had expressed, and they touched on something in him that he thought was lost in an endless conflict. My Sharingan is nothing but a weapon, Sasuke said dismissively, as if he realized it just now. Only now do I understand what Itachi was trying to tell me all those years ago, when I begged and begged him to tell me. How he mastered those eyes at only 8 years old. The Uchiha are not defined by their dujutsu, he said, but for something much deeper, something beyond even the chakra. Silence fell upon them as they heard a faint whisper enter the room. Kakashi watched Sasuke with a visible pride that shone brightly on his face, something that even Naruto felt. He could count on his fingers the number of Uchiha who had reached the same epiphany as Sasuke. He knew that the young Uchiha would never fall into the curse of hatred. The will of fire, Kakashi said quietly, looking at Naruto. Naruto nodded, and his forest green eyes shone with a wisdom that surprised Kakashi and Sasuke. He turned to Sasuke and said, "There is no excuse for killing. We shinobi do it as a matter of course, giving various justifications," he said in a tired voice. "But a garden cannot grow if the weeds are not pruned. It is only this belief that has sustained my sanity in both lives, Sasuke. I have tried to avoid killing as much as I could, only doing it in defense of my loved ones. But sometimes there is no other choice. You must not let those demons dominate you." Sasuke and Kakashi sat in silence, letting the words of the first reborn wash over them. Naruto continued. The sage of the 6 paths was a peaceful man, an enlightened man. He used chakra to help humanity and help it reach a new stage of happiness. But fools that we are, we use his gift and turn it into a weapon. Chakra was never intended to be a weapon originally. Minato-sensei once said the same thing, Kakashi recalled. He said that fire existed to give life and not to burn it. Water to nourish life and not drown it. The lightning to illuminate life and not vaporize it. The earth to beget life and not to bury it. And the wind to transmit life, not to cut it off. That. My father was a wise man, in fact, Naruto said softly. Sasuke seemed to be pondering the saying of the room. He told the truth, Sasuke. Are you saying you can't use Sharingan to build? I remember my subordinate, Uchiha Kyoshi, who used Sharingan illusions to alleviate the madness. I remember Uchiha Ida, who used the Sharingan to learn how to paint to such an extent that he once made Mito openly shed tears. Such was the pathos in his paintings. But I also remember Yukiya Madara, my best friend, who used his Sharingan to protect his relatives from harm. Silence enveloped the room at this. Naruto stretched out on his bed, calmly solving problems before turning to Sasuke. Words can't calm regret, Sasuke. But maybe actions can, and better yet our own prospects can, he said, before getting carried away with the dream. They had a lot to do in the morning, and I hoped I had brought some peace of mind. Deceived by the Ukiyas. Good evening, everyone, he murmured. The morning was shining bright and crisp, the sun's rays penetrating the beautiful house that Naruto had erected. The trilling of the forest birds made the air even healthier than usual, but the air was darkened by nature. Threatening of the discussions going on in the dining room. He is guarded at all times by those sound ninjas. The outer walls are heavily reinforced with earth, and a dozen powerful Doton users actively hold it at all times. Orochimaru himself lives in a secret underground base, and no one knows exactly where Sasuke will need time to search the base. Even with Sharingan, Kakashi said, calmly eating the fruit Naruto had provided for them. These apples are delicious, he generously added to Naruto, who smiled. Thank you. But back to the topic, I can overwhelm Doton users. But all our hopes rest on making Orochimaru frantic with our assault, so much so that he won't see through our ruse. He will feel my chakra the moment I am in sight of Otto. The last time I was there it really scared him, I think, Naruto said. Kakashi considered deeply, but Sasuke spoke first. Then turn on your chakra. He will be so prepared for you that he won't see me coming, Sasuke said. Naruto could see that his emotions had changed considerably. There seemed to be a somewhat lighter feeling in his thoughts. Sasuke's thoughts were no longer plagued by his usual melancholy and sadness. His chakra felt warm and hopeful, not his usual forbidding cold. He felt happiness for having kindled hope in an Uchiha. Turning to Sasuke, he replied, "An excellent idea, Sasuke. As long as I'm a distraction, let me be a proper one," she said. Kakashi looked at Sasuke and said firmly, "If you come across Orochimaru or Akatsuki, do not use Mangekyo Sharingan. If you do, Itachi may be sent against you. Even if he fights half seriously, Itachi can overwhelm you without even wanting to." "I have no intention of fighting Itachi," Naruto said, bowing his head. "In fact, the less we meet, the less our association will be suspected." "So Kakashi is right, Sasuke. But I have enough faith in your abilities that you can easily complete this mission." "I won't fail," Sasuke said with certainty. "But if my sensei is threatened, I will not hesitate to use Mangekyo Sharingan. If things get too dangerous, I'll use Makuden too," Naruto said to reassure him. "Most likely, Akatsuki doesn't care anyway. I am Pain's equal at least, and he will never risk his true subordinates being eliminated by me." Kakashi here is also well versed with the Mangekyo. "Together, the three of us are more than up to this task," he said with conviction. "I think so too," Kakashi said. "However, Orochimaru is gathering forces in Oto, and it would be wise not to dismiss them as the usual rabble." "I agree," Naruto said. "We must attack at night, however. Most shinobi are less conscious at night. I say we make the move tonight. Sharingan can see through the darkness, and this will give Sasuke an added advantage. My sensory abilities don't care if it's light and dark. So we're leaving now." "Otto is quite far from this place," Sasuke said. Naruto nodded, getting to his feet as he finished his fences. "We're leaving now and heading to Otto as fast as possible. Orochimaru needs a lot of warning for this plan to succeed. I will also have enough time to feel Otto and Shinobi's defenses, and that more than anything will give us a real advantage in this mission. Iden has been sent to Takigakure. It seems that his Hinchiriki has escaped from his prison. I have no doubt that Iden and Kakuzu can deal with that problem," Itachi said stoically. "I was standing at Akatsuki's expanding base in Iowa, amazed as always how an organization in the shadows had become such a real factor in the forging of nations. Pain himself had erected the base when the Tsuchikage had refused to help them, literally shaping the huge structure from the bare bones of the earth. The power of the Rinnegan had been evident then, as had the supremely increased power of the Akatsuki leader. Perhaps of all the users of the earth, only the Tsuchikages or Esirama could emulate to surpass that feat. "Fine," Pain said in his deep voice. "Orochimaru is running late." "It is. I just think he wants more time to experiment with your creation. I have no idea why you haven't destroyed it," Itachi said. The air rippled beside him, and he spat at a man, dressed in black, with an orange mask and a single Sharingan revealed. "Because," Toby said, "he is a valuable pawn, and possibly the only one who can understand how to mold that particular metal. As long as we threaten him properly, he will bend to our will." "I'm not so sure," he says. Itachi said. "He is as slippery as a snake, and almost as deadly. I predict that the fact that he is alive will bring us little good. My Sharingan can already see more traces of deception in his form. Much more than usual, I mean. Maybe I should go over there and teach him a lesson," he mused. absently. He has delayed the delivery of my cane for a long time, and I can't hear about it anymore. Or I can send kiss him. He has been eager to go after Orochimaru for quite some time now, ever since his blood sample was taken while he was sleeping. Itachi's mouth twisted at that. Orochimaru had stolen Kisam's blood while the shark-faced shinobi was sleeping. And only Pain's interference prevented Kisam from turning Orochimaru into a parasamed decoration in retaliation. Kisam could go to extremes, Toby said silkily. I don't want to alienate Orochimaru, just subtly threaten him. It's too important a resource to do that. I want to capture Ichibi as soon as possible. But if Naruto Uzumaki interferes, it will be a problem. Toby, you can just not sneak into the place and catch Ichibi. Pain asked. Toby chuckled. And Chibi is too powerful to transport him through interdimensional space. All that chakra is too heavy for one man to carry, Toby said. Pain frowned. But don't worry, Toby said cheerfully. All we have to do is get the Ichibi out. To do that, we need to support his brothers. For some reason, they all come running for the family, the masked shinobi said. Itachi kept his disdain hidden. One day soon, I would take great pleasure in slowly burning Toby in the fires of Amaterasu. Are you in trouble, Itachi? Toby asked jovially, but Itachi could see the wariness in the man. He shook his head. None, Toby. I'm just wondering about the fact that Uzumaki might get involved again. As Pain says, that could be a problem. Toby chuckled grimly as his jutsu swallowed him up. That's the beauty of taking hostages, my dear Itachi. You can demand whatever you want. Itachi was disgusted by man's callous disregard for the most fundamental aspects of life. Pain turned to face him, his tall, powerful body literally glowing with chakra in his Sharingan. I heard that Uzumaki Mito has been revived. She has done it, Itachi said, and felt a burst of true happiness over the fact. Naruto did it again. He had shown who the Akatsuki were dealing with, not that they knew. This fact, more than any other, had made Pain cautious in his approach, as even he was not skilled enough to heal a person in such a state. Not even with all the vaunted powers of the Rinnegan. Then Akatsuki should be alerted to take care of himself. We luckily captured her last time, and a vengeful Uzumaki myth will only add to our obstacles. 7, 8 and 9 Naruto said quietly to Sasuke and Kakashi, who were watching from the edge of the forest as night fell, and caught the visible time Otagakure in its gloom. 9 shinobi are constantly monitoring this sector. All of them are of fire nature, no doubt, to take advantage of the combustible nature of the forest. Their eyes narrowed slightly. He didn't like people damaging trees, and not just for the obvious reasons. He looked at Kakashi as the Hounen remained completely motionless in the falling darkness, evaluating his rough plan. And thinking about changes. This makes it imperative that we attack first, Naruto concluded Kakashi. Or else, Sasuke will never be able to enter. Will we invade the city, or will we fight from the outside? He asked. Naruto frowned. That was a good question. If they get in, there would be trouble attracting most of the Oto shinobi. But it would definitely cause more confusion. To begin with, we attacked from the outside. Once there's enough confusion, we break in and act as a backup for Sasuke if necessary, Naruto said firmly. Kakashi nodded and Sasuke said solemnly. Thanks for your help. I don't care who you are, but thank you. I will not forget how you brought me out of madness, healed my eyes and body, and now this said Sasuke gratefully. Naruto simply gave him a comradely pat on the back, causing his knees to buckle. Sasuke stared at him for a moment, then rolled his eyes. Should we get started? Naruto asked with bright eyes. Kakashi nodded, and they ran through the forest towards Otagakure with quick shunshuns. Naruto could feel Sasuke taking cover at the edge of the forest, and when he turned around, he couldn't see anything of Lucia. I could only feel it. Orochimaru has really strengthened his city's defenses, hasn't he? Kakashi observed. Naruto could only agree when he saw the high walls of Otagakure and extended his senses towards them. He was completely impressed by the workmanship of the wall. He has, Naruto said, not bothering to whisper. He could see that the attention of the shinobi patrols was diverted to his voice, and he nodded towards Kakashi. Should we give them more signals? They seem to be quite boring. To catch the enemy's voice and intent, he smiled. Kakashi nodded, and began to turn on his chakra and his killing intent. The screams began to rise through the village, tearing up the night with their dirges to premieres. A bell began to ring in the village, and Naruto could hear the frantic movement of the shinobi, urgent to reach their location. They had positioned themselves neatly in front of Otto's south gate, as Naruto had sensed a good concentration of the patrols in that direction. In a matter of seconds, 30 shinobi had completely surrounded them, and a tall man had drawn a sword, pointing it torsively at Kakashi. Kakashi attack. You won't survive your arrogance, he claimed. Naruto smiled when he saw Kakashi. And get into action, mercilessly cutting off criminals. No matter what jutsu they shot at Kakashi, they didn't even give him a scratch. As the sounds of metal cutting flesh echoed in the night, he looked towards the high walls of Orochimaru village. He could definitely open the doors and just lay down in the village. But that wouldn't be a real distraction. He looked at Kakashi, who effortlessly dodged the attack of 3 blurred swords and disappeared with a shunsin. A moment later, 3 opponents lay dead on the grass with shurikens embedded in their backs. Just delete them. That Sharingan guy is taking too long. Kurama growled in his mind. Naruto didn't say anything, he just watched as Kakashi took care of the remaining 10 nuclear ninjas, using the Sharingan to effortlessly dodge their attacks. A man suddenly seemed to observe him and shouted to his companions. Naruto sighed as 5 appeared to separate from Kakashi and ran towards him. They were just nuisances, and he had a whole city to storm. When a katana flashed towards him, in the hands of a screaming shinobi, it seemed to fade into the night. Using his sensory ability, he disappeared in 5 perfect shunsin, to incapacitate his opponents with precise strikes on their vital points. As he was looking around at the lying bodies of his first victims, he saw Kakashi appear next to him. Shall we get started? Yes, the clamor in the village is increasing. They know someone is invading them, but not much else, he said, pointing to the completely closed south gate. I could feel the demand of the whole village. There was no more time to waste, because he had to get all the attention on himself if Sasuke wanted to have a chance. Everyone in the village would have to be focused on him, including Orochimaru and all the other Akatsuki present. I could feel several chakras concentrated behind the door, and I knew that they would attack at any moment. Kakashi, were you in the ambo? Yes. So you're highly trained in the katana, correct? He asked intensely as he pulled his own sword out of the sheath on his back. He had deliberately worn a long white cape with the Senju Trident symbol painted on the back. Jiraiya had told him that he was the spitting image of Namikaze. Minato, I was sure it was Yondaime Okage himself, coming back to life. I am, Kakashi said, his eyes shining as he too drew his sword. It was a concession that the copy ninja had made at Naruto's request, as it was much easier to deal with multiple enemies when using a real sword. The doors suddenly opened, and dozens of shinobi came out towards them, stopping in their tracks when they didn't see any army. They only saw 2 men. Naruto nodded to Kakashi, and they started walking impassively. The shinobi enemy bent slightly, visibly trying to get rid of the force of his powerful chakra, when a silver nimbus surrounded him and made him glow slightly in the night. He could feel Sasuke anxiously waiting for the chaos and quickened his steps to run. The shinobi in front of him also started running, drawing their weapons in a huge steel dirge. In an instant he had covered the distance between them, leaving Kakashi behind him as he lunged at the approaching ninja. Faster than they could react, they stabbed him from all directions. But he stopped each and every one of them, returning deadly blows. His speed was phenomenal, as his enemies seemed to just die as his sword went up and down faster than they could react. He could see Kakashi running after him, and he was very disappointed about he had become the ninja of today. A barrage of Kuna and flew at him, and effortlessly dodged each and every one, allowing his sensory abilities to guide him to evade the chakra-imbued weapons. He caught a shinobi who attacked him from behind by the arm and kicked him so hard that he collided painfully with 3 others and crashed into Otto's wall. It disappeared once again in a burst of speed and just went through the shinobi, though like a hot knife through butter. What happened to these people? He thought with surprise as he made his way unaided to the doors. Formato. Is this some kind of trap? No, you idiot. This is the effect of that piece you forced down their throats. They have become fat and lazy, nothing compared to the ninjas of yesteryear. That was probably true, he thought as he incapacitated 10 shinobi just touching his vital points. I wasn't even trying. He began to feel bad about the whole thing, as he simply grabbed a criminal by the neck and threw him, like a rag doll, against the wall. He was standing in the center of what was probably Otto's full strength, not caring at all as he effortlessly countered multiple attacks. He heard a scream behind him. I could see Kakashi standing with a cut on his shoulder, dripping blood. Oh, he's going to massacre them, he thought grimly, and he was proved right when Kakashi went through. His seals and Chidori shouted. The night was illuminated by Kakashi's lightning, and Naruto watched as Kakashi knocked down all the ninjas in his way and waved. As the ninja Kopia headed towards him through the ninja Otto. How are you not tired? Kakashi asked, panting slightly. He had killed more shinobi than he could count, and he was pretty tired, thanks to that Sharingan. It was helpful, but it extracted too much chakra from his body. Naruto steadied him, and felt the vitality flowing from the golden-haired ninja towards him, and he felt upright. I am a Senju and an Uzumaki, Kakashi. My physical energy is not trivial, he said, looking around disappointed, as the other shinobi poured on them from all sides. With an incoherent scream, I think I've played enough. I hate to say it, but these shinobi are not worth my time. There's something I've been wanting to try for some time. He clasped his hands on Wei's seal, and Kakashi's eyes widened as Naruto passed through dozens of seals in a matter of an instant. He seemed to be molding chakra with great difficulty, literally forcing it to take shape. Katen. Fire. He was not the Yoda and traditionally weak in affinity with fire. Kakashi had no answer when Naruto shouted, Gukamiku. The night turned bright as day as waves upon waves of fire bloomed from Naruto's position, literally frying everything. All the ninja that were outside the gates. The fire was so immense that it actually poured into Otagakure from above the walls, and Kakashi could only watch in amazement, as the offending shinobi were literally vaporized by the intensity of the fire, and saw Otagakure being set on fire by the monsters. Those flames. Naruto did not relent in his attack as he spewed blazing fire that seemed to clear Otto's surroundings of all shinobi except them. Otagakure was now surrounded by a huge ring of blazing fire that rose even above its walls, sometimes pouring inside to cause confusion or death. What was that? He asked shakily, as Naruto released his jutsu panting. The destruction was almost absolute as he saw no traces of life anywhere around the village and heard frightened screams inside it. Naruto seemed to be out of breath as he turned to Kakashi with a satisfied smile. I tried to imitate my old friend and failed. The fire chakra is very difficult to control, he said as he looked at the burning landscape. Kakashi almost doubled over. Did you fail? I think you were quite successful, he said as Otagakure seemed to close the doors firmly. Kakashi saw the effect of the unsealed jutsu on the walls and doors, and saw with his Sharingan that a huge barrier was forming over the village. It would be very difficult to force their way in now, as they had gone on the defensive after Naruto's attack. Madara would have melted the walls with this technique, and could do it in one stamp. I didn't even come close to his dexterity. Ah, well, my affinity is not fire. And it took me 2 years to perfect this technique, he said. Disappointed, he then brightened up considerably. I took good care of our attackers, didn't I? Did you feel Sasuke slipping? He asked her happily. Kakashi nodded. But we also have to get in. Otto is sealed so no one can get in or out now. That fire technique of yours really scared them, I guess, Kakashi said, watching the devastation of Naruto's failed technique. I definitely didn't want to be on the other side of Naruto's successful ones. Oh, don't worry about that, Naruto said, smiling. He didn't seem bothered in the slightest as he raised his hand palm up. Their seals are very strong, but I wonder if they will be able to withstand this. In his eyes, a kind of Rasengan seemed to materialize in Naruto's hand with a sound like a hissing sound. The sound was so sharp that he made a grimace, and his mouth opened when he saw what Naruto was holding in his hand. It was a shuriken-shaped Rasengan with huge amounts of wind imbued into it. The shuriken chakra was huge and seemed to literally sing as it grew in size. Did you complete the Rasengan? Kakashi thought, feeling that nothing new about Naruto would surprise him more. Futon, Rasen Shuriken. Naruto shouted as he threw the jutsu at the walls of Odo. Kakashi watched as the three-bladed Shuriken Rasen cut through the air faster than he could believe. But he could also see the highly reinforced walls of Odo. He must have a wind nature in this life, the copy ninja concluded as the Rasen Shuriken met the walls with an explosive bang. The prior art fire became frantic as the large explosion created by the Rasen Shuriken whipped up. She covered her eyes for a moment when the light and fire became too bright and opened them a moment later. Naruto smiled at him as he pointed to the section of the wall that had been completely destroyed. We are going to visit dear Orochimaru, Kakashi. Sasuke slid cleanly with the shinobi that Naruto was destroying by the dozens. His highly honed stealth allowed him to blend in effortlessly with the other shinobi. He saw Naruto simply killing the Oto shinobi. It was like I wasn't even trying. So this is Esirama Senju, he thought in amazement. The physical strength was nothing short of impressive, he thought, as he deftly kept out of Naruto's way. All they did was die at the hands of Naruto when the reborn Shadai got through their ranks easily. He saw Kakashi get rid of his attackers with the Chidori and join Naruto. A shinobi behind him pushed, and Sasuke gave him a heart in style. He fell panting, and the Uchiha slipped between the rows and entered the gate, making his way through several suicidal shinobi. He felt an ascending chakra behind him, and was right in front of the door when he saw Naruto scream, "Ketongo Ukamaku!" He had no time to be surprised as his vision was consumed by a burning fire. Susanoo's purple skeleton protected him from the dangerous and immense flames, and he saw all the shinobi die outside the gates. Along with the guardians, this is my chance. He disappeared with a Shunsin, and just passed the doors that were closing, appearing inside Otagakure. Sighing with relief, he replaced his idiate from Konoha with one from Odo, and started searching around the village Lugup. It would be out of place since Naruto's attack had set the entire village on fire. Literally. Smiling at his own sense of humor, Sasuke ran through the streets, using the Sharingan to search for family chakras. He could see how powerful seals were activated to strengthen the defense, but he was not worried. Naruto was who he was, after all. Sure enough, the village shook violently, and when he looked back, he saw a huge hole in the walls. Following the most malicious chakra that he was sure belonged to Orochimaru, he ran towards the base as fast as he could. Odo reflected Orochimaru's personality, Sasuke thought as he watched the gloomy fear that invaded the village. In truth, it was not a people in the true sense of the word. But it was a great side dish. Her Sharingan could see the hidden entrance on the floor and headed towards it. Stop! What business do you have here now? The voice of two guards came. Sasuke turned around and watched them. They appeared to be Hounen-level guards of some sort. His presence only confirmed his suspicions. He didn't hesitate when his eyes turned to Mangedio. Amaterasu. The celestial black flames fell on the hapless shinobi, a technique that was far beyond his ability to counter. I knew it would be ashes soon. Slowly approaching the hidden trapdoor, he began to consider how to open it. He gritted his teeth in frustration as no solution seemed to come to him. This was supposed to be a clandestine mission. I had to keep the lowest profile possible. His heart shrank when he heard a prolonged cry of pain from inside the base, he didn't want to know what it meant, because he recognized the voice well. Susanoo's purple flames materialized and formed the skeletal warrior, and he raised his sword in the air. With an enraged scream, Sasuke caused the very earth he was standing on to shatter into pieces and landed among large amounts of debris. A glance around the excessively clean and dimly lit place told him where he was, along with another pain-filled cry from his captive sense. He was here. The hatred of Lucia that was burning in his soul was ignited, and he ran towards the sound of screams. Those screams were silenced by the sounds of the battle that followed outside, and he saw that the entire village was falling into a state of agitation. Very soon, he could only hear the sounds of the powerful jutsu and the dying Otoshinobi. If it was the last thing he did, he would make Orochimaru pay for his actions. Otoshinobi was dying, dropping dead like useless flies. The wide main street was clearly divided. On one side, there was a real shinobi army trying to advance and defend their village. But they were only repulsed and suffered terrible casualties. Uzumaki Naruto was cutting through their ranks as he effortlessly countered their every move, retaliating with fatal, lightning-fast punches. His long golden hair fluttered as he quickly cut 7 Chunin, looking blurry even to trained Hounen. Still, they came across him, almost astonishing him with their stubborn suicidal nature. He wasn't even breathing hard as he effortlessly kicked another shinobi so hard. Fort that was thrown through another platoon of enemies, taking them with him as he crashed into a house. Kakashi had already resorted to ninjutsu, and Naruto could see flashes of lightning and shoot some streets to his left. He could feel the ninja Kopi's life force as strong as ever. And I knew I wasn't in real danger. "Who are you?" An Otto Hounen shouted, while leading a new group of shinobi. Naruto closed his eyes when he felt 36 others surrounding him, hiding in alleys and cleverly hiding behind houses. His sense had developed to such an extent that he could even tell the composition of a jutsu just by feeling it. These poor fools really couldn't hide from him. "Who I am doesn't matter," he said calmly, and sheathed his sword disappointed. "You are truly all that Orochimaru has to offer. Is this what Akatsuki has been doing all this time? If that is the case, I must say that I am very disappointed." "Idiot, you'll die for attacking us like that," the shinobi shouted angrily. "We will show them the consequences of attacking our people so brazenly. Everyone, switch to level 1. He ordered loudly, and Naruto could feel a familiar evil chakra engulfing the entire street. The marks covered the skin of all the shinobi, and he sighed as he realized that he was now facing about 40 shinobi who used the seal. "Pathetic, just pathetic," Kurama said mockingly in his mind. Naruto had to agree on that point. I could even feel a corrupt form of senjutsu coming out of those seals. The earth shook for a moment, and his eyes opened when he felt that Susanoo was being used. I needed to finish this fast and go help Sasuke if he needed it. "You don't know who I am," she warned him quietly. "Go now. Those weak seals of yours really won't help you." A dirty purple chakra cloak covered the street, and its malicious essence seemed to impose itself on Naruto. He smiled grimly and disappeared with a sigh. The Bigmoth shinobi punched him confidently, but he caught the arm with the palm of his hand and looked at him with a critical. "You are a little stronger than before, but not much observed." When the other ninjas sealed with the curse ran towards him, he threw the one he had stopped towards them. This time, he flowed into the natural style, catching punches effortlessly and returning fatal blows. It was continuous, like the flow of wind over a forest. Like the flow of water in an ocean. It flowed through the mass of shinobi, and they were thrown all over the village by the force of their taijutsu. "Use Makuten, and that's it. Or at least let me out. This game of yours is really boring, you know," the Kyuubi complained. Naruto rolled his eyes when he caught a crib and pointed it at his head without even looking, and threw it at its owner. The abrupt fading of the life force told him that he had found his goal. "They are running away from me now. They finally got the point," Naruto mused as he felt the village shinobi moving away from him. and felt several large groups clustering in different places around the village. Maybe they were inventing a new plan to attack him. But they are not what I would like Konoha Shinobi to be. His courage and devotion is not exactly what I would call amazing. They're nuclear ninjas, asshole. Wearing an auto and tie-it does not make them auto shinobi. Their first loyalty is to themselves, Kurama said dismissively. I can feel the evil emanating from that floor down there. It could even be that Rikudo cursed Susanoo. I hate that thing. He could feel Kakashi approaching him quickly, and he started walking towards where he felt Sasuke's chakra. No one attacked him at the moment, but he could feel the apprehension and suspense being nullified in the entire village. You're telling me, Zoro? I had to fight that thing more than I can remember, Naruto said dryly as he walked faster towards Sasuke's location. With his senses at full power, it wouldn't be good for the Shunsin in one of Orochimaru's traps. They seem to be quite afraid of you, a lazy voice said behind him. Naruto turned around and found Kakashi cleaning his katana and sheathing it slowly. He could also see the bodies of about 200 ninjas scattered like tornado-ravaged crops. I guess my strength has increased a lot these past 3 years, Naruto admitted. The trail of destruction he had left behind wasn't as much as Madara would have. His old friend was naturally destructive when it came to battles. But then again, he wasn't deliberately destructive like Madara used to be. Say it all you want to yourself, Kurama snorted. I remember the time he let the 9 of us loose in that town, that ordered the death of his daughter. You didn't leave anyone alive there as far as I can remember. It was just a big crater in the ground after you were done with it. It was one of my darkest moments, Naruto sighed, and dismissed those thoughts as he cleared his mind. The past was not real. At least that's what he was telling himself. Every time he thought that Kurama would laugh at him with joy. Here he was, denying the past voluntarily, when he himself was a legend of the past returned from the pure world. Are you okay? Kakashi questioned gently, seeing that he was somewhat worried. Naruto nodded. There was little time for psychological divination at the moment. Those stupid shinobi could attack at any moment. That would be detrimental to the plan. I'm fine, Naruto said. I can sense various groups of opponents hanging around in various areas of the village. Our work is over, Sasuke is inside the Orochimaru base. Is there any point for our distraction? Yes, Kakashi said. The longer we keep them away from Sasuke, the easier he'll have it. Unless he meets Orochimaru, of course, he said with a frown. Naruto looked at Kakashi, a simple plan forming in his head. Then let's take this distraction a step further, he said, as he raised his hand at the sea tiger. We make enough noise for Orochimaru himself to come running here. Then I'll take care of that snake and his subordinates, here and now. We finish our mission, and return to Konoha, he proudly proposed. Good plan. Except if pain comes, you'll turn this fight into another natural disaster. Don't forget that even he has had 3 years to hone his skills, and that Itachi will accompany him as well. The outcome of that fight won't matter much if you raise several kilometers of the surrounding fertile area, the Kyuubi said earnestly. By the looks of it, even Kakashi had come to the same conclusion. After a moment of hesitation, he had made his decision. This is a bet we have to make. If pain comes, I'll think of something, he finished without conviction. Kakashi nodded in disbelief at his reassuring reply, but didn't stop him, as he gently put his hand on the dirt. Doten Jimin Kara Denasi, he intoned, and the village shook as its foundations shook violently. The buildings collapsed in desperation when what would be called a lethal earthquake shook the village. Several weakly built houses collapsed in a heap as Naruto unleashed destruction on Otagakure. The disgruntled shinobi's screams were drowned out by the noise of the earth breaking up. He was careful not to extend his jutsu to the Orochimaru base, where he could feel Sasuke's life force. But then, another voice shouted a counter-technical behind him. His voice echoed in the village. Totan Anti and not Koa released his jutsu immediately, and the remaining tremors were calmed by the intruder's technique. It seemed that his plan had worked out quite well, and he had brought the Sannin snake out of hiding, as Tsunade had said. Orochimaru looked at him with absolute anger, and Naruto broke his neck while looking at the S-class nuclear ninja. "Hello, Orochimaru. It seems I have a habit of razing your village to the ground," Naruto greeted cheerfully. Kakashi looked at him with a resigned expression, thinking that he was one of the few who could make fun of Orochimaru so openly. And get away with it. Naruto-kun, hissing snack Sannin, his long and very wet tongue dripping snake saliva while licking something non-existent. "I have no idea how you can do the same useless thing repeatedly and not achieve your goal. If I was the one who attacked Konoha, then I would have finished it by now. Can you please make up your mind about my people?" "Oh, I've made up my mind," Naruto said. "Your village is irrelevant to me. I can destroy it any day I want, as you well know. I want something else. Something much more important than the destruction of one of your bases." Murmured Orochimaru. "Sasuke-kun is here for her." "I see. Everything is going according to plan." "What plan?" Kakashi asked lazily, but both eyes were looking at Orochimaru quite alert. Orochimaru chuckled creepily, and Naruto raised an eyebrow. "You can stop laughing so chillingly, Orochimaru. I think all your forces are scattering like the cowards they are." "I'm sorry about that, by the way," he said, not sounding remorseful at all. Orochimaru didn't seem remotely worried that his village built with such painstaking effort would be reduced to nothing. Nothing but an overturned anthill. "They have fulfilled their purpose," the Sannin said scornfully. Then he licked again, looking greedily at Naruto. "I can feel your physical energy, Naruto-kun. I've always wanted to ask you how you got that body of yours." Naruto seemed confused at this question. "In the usual way, I guess." "Stop looking at me like that," Orochimaru spat at the snake Sannin. Orochimaru shook his head, still laughing. "You remind me of Jiraiya, even in his idiocy and incompetence. Did you know that your precious Sasuke-kun is currently fighting against Akatsuki? I hope you are familiar with a certain Asiraki Kisame. You're not going to take that, are you? I would ask you to save yourself a lot of trouble and just kill that creep. But you're hellbent on honoring that pervert's wish, aren't you?" "Right," Naruto agreed. "Orochimaru, thank you for your information. Now I'll go and help Sasuke after he lets you bite the dust," he said kindly. He looked at Kakashi, who disappeared nodding. "Kisame is not someone Kakashi can take on and win, Naruto-kun," Orochimaru said. "I'm afraid you'll lose two on your side today." "There's certainly no way I'm letting you through now," he said, and Naruto was horrified to see that he was just playing. Like Shota and Okage, such unbridled evil was beyond their comprehension. He didn't understand how one could get rid of his subordinates so easily. "Yamata no Jutsu," said Orochimaru with a ram seal. Naruto watched as the Sannin snake transformed into a large white mass, which then transmuted into a huge abomination. Orochimaru had turned into an 8-headed snake that soared into the air. If I had to guess, I'd say he was as big as Shukaku. Orochimaru's strange chakra seemed to be literally seeping out of the huge snakes. And he could feel the remaining Otagakure shinobi discreetly leaving the village. "I'm not wasting much time, huh?" he said, looking at the huge snake, whose central head seemed to open with a great hissing sound, and he saw Orochimaru partially glide and stare at him with glee. This was getting a little out of control, and he could feel flashes of Samida's chakra beneath him. He had expected Orochimaru to slither like a snake, not to fight like one. He stared impassively at the huge snakes. Unless he wanted to bury Sasuke and Kakashi under a mountain of rubble, he couldn't just defeat them with Makuden. Until his mission was complete, he had to keep up with this jutsu. "I need to fight it skillfully, without causing much damage to the earth. Once they are done with their mission, I will defeat Orochimaru." Makuden Makaben Sin no Jutsu said, and a wooden clone was born from him and ran towards Kakashi. I had to find Sasuke and Kakashi and help them however they could. He jumped high into the air to avoid being crushed by the heaving body of a huge snake and quickly ran down its length. Another snake pounced on him, and another. He dodged them all smoothly, using his convoluted lengths to block their attacks. The main snake with Orochimaru was stationary, and the Sannin snake frowned, as Naruto deftly dodged the crushing attempts of 7 huge white snakes. Otagakure shuddered at the intensity of the battle, and Naruto became more concerned about the stability of the ground. "Is running all you can do, Naruto-kun?" Orochimaru asked sarcastically, as his 7 snakes completely devastated Otto in their attack. Naruto stepped back to an older era in his mind, hearing the same thing as he dodged a succession of dangerous Bijudas. Once again, he heard Madara's voice tauntingly shouting at him, "Running is all you can do, Esirama." How he longed to get into his wise mode and crush Otto into oblivion along with Orochimaru. "Hurry up, Sasuke." Kakashi, he thought grimly as he jumped high into the air, using a snake's head as a lever. Spinning in the air, he launched a hammer kick at the main snake with all his considerable physical energy. The huge snake bit the dust with an explosive bang. Then he bristled angrily and felt Orochimaru's strange chakra permeating the air once again, as the 8 snakes looked at him ominously. Earth dragons won't work against this thing, Naruto thought darkly. A shiny silver chakra nimbus surrounded his form as he prepared for a restrained battle. "The moment they finish, I will take care of Orochimaru properly." Sasuke hurried through the labyrinthine and irritating passages of Orochimaru, paying little attention to where he was going. As he ran towards Yugao-sensei's tortured screams, "I was afraid of what I would find." The tortures that Orochimaru had subjected her to. After Naruto left with Jiraiya, only she and Kakashi took on the responsibility of training him, teaching him more than just jutsu. He could not see the dead or injured. She could be Ambu, but it was she who made him start questioning the problem of their lives full of conflicts. She was only 3 years older than him, but she was already Ambu. It was rumored that the Uzuki clan was a great kenjutsu master, supposedly a descendant of the great samurai swordsman. She had taught him many things with the sword, and together they had shared life and death in many missions. His fist clenched, and his Magiccio Sharingan flashed a furious red as he ran through Orochimaru's ridiculously intricate base. As he was running around a corner, a blurry object with small spikes swooped down on his head, and only his supremely trained Sharingan allowed him to evade the fatal blow. His mastery of the Sharingan was perhaps not as absolute as his brother's. She didn't think she would ever achieve Itachi's amazing ability with her eyes, but she was tall anyway. He kicked hard but was stopped cleanly by a firm hand. He disappeared with a Shunsin, only to appear a few steps away from the opponent, both of them facing each other in the dimly lit passage. Sasuke's eyes widened when he recognized a Siraki Kisame staring at him with his usual joy, and he consciously had to suppress his frustration. "Give way, Kisame. I have little time to fight with you," he grunted under his breath. Kisame chuckled as he held Tsunade threateningly towards him, and Sasuke contemplated the ninja's absolutely enormous chakra reserves. He overcame with his chakra grows. This would be a close fight. "Look what I found," Kisame said with delight, "Itachi-san's younger brother. You have the same eyes as him, up to the Menyedio shape. I've always wanted to try my hand against those eyes," he said thoughtfully. Sasuke didn't hesitate. His hands blurred through several seals, and Ketongo Kakyu no Jutsu roared. A huge fireball flew towards Kisame, who negligently repulsed it with a wave of water. Sasuke disappeared with a Shunsin, appearing behind Kisame, and pushed his katana on his back with blinding speed. He cursed under his breath as impaled Kisame dissolved into a water clone, the real one laughing behind him. "Not bad, I had just enough time for the clone." "You are very fast with that Shunsin," praised. Sasuke disappeared once again, using all of his Shunsin skill as he seemed to attack Kisame from all sides. Kisame frowned as he concentrated, deftly dodging what looked like not a sword, but 10 attacking him at once. The air seemed to scream as the 2 kenjutsu masters swung their swords blurry, Kisame's experience easily resisting Sasuke's speed. Tsunade didn't seem to restrain Kisame at all as he swung the huge sword, like a child might swing a reed, facing each and every one of his blows effortlessly. He slipped under Tsunade while Kisum was spinning, and instead of taking advantage of the opening, he made a feint and appeared behind the shark man. Kisum gasped as Sasuke buried his sword in Kisum's shoulder, and blood poured down the Katsuki's back. Kisum roared in rage as Sasuke drew his sword to deliver the final blow. His wound was slowly starting to close, and Sasuke evaded his furious slash with a deft movement of his body to appear behind him. Kisum turned to Lucia with an unholy anger on his face. "Sudamba Kusui Sho!" He screamed, and waves upon waves of water seemed to surge towards Sasuke with force. In that confined space he had no escape, no maneuver that could help him. While floating in the flooded corridor, his eyes opened as the chakra sharks came dangerously close to him. There were about a dozen of them. His heart contracted when he heard one last desperate scream from the cameras in front of him. Then his voice became still. The sharks seemed ready to destroy him when Sasuke's Magishio turned red, and the Uchiha shouted, "Amaterasu!" The black fire exploded in raging torrents, and Kisum screamed in alarm when his water simply evaporated along with his sharks. The heavenly flames could not be denied, not by the pitiful jutsu that humans could create, not by the ordinary forces of nature. Sasuke screamed when his eyes hurt, but he sent walls against walls of Amaterasu in all directions, and felt the water evaporate along with that section of the base. The walls simply melted into slag where the flames hit them, and Kisum screamed in unmistakable pain as the black flames buried him. Sasuke slowly released his Magishio when he saw Kisum burning weakly in his flames, looking around at the devastated passageway. He was several levels down, so he didn't think the whole structure would stabilize. He walked towards Kisum and pushed his body with one foot. "These eyes are not something that can be defeated," he muttered, and lunged forward. But he stopped in his tracks when he heard enthusiastic applause behind him, and his eyes widened when he saw that Kisum, who looked very healthy, was applauding him. "How? Tsunade is not just a sword, Sasuke-san," Kisum said. "I admit it, if it wasn't for Tsunade, I most likely would have died today. Now the real fight begins," he shouted as he raised his huge sword. Sasuke spat, his eyes transformed again. His anger knew no bounds as he watched the frustrating Kisum. "You're dead," he said in an emotionless voice, and Susanoo's purple skeleton began to cover him, and the mythical warrior took shape. His skeletal defender completely locked him up and was holding two purple chakra swords, while Asuke stared at his enemy. "Susanoo," Kisum whispered in absolute surprise. "You really are Itachi's little brother, Sasuke-san. It will be a shame to kill you, you know," he said sadly. Before Sasuke could make a single move, he saw Kakashi and Naruto appear behind Kisum. "Let go of the jutsu," Sasuke said Kakashi vigorously. "And go get her. We'll take care of him from here." Sasuke immediately let it dissipate and looked at them in surprise. Naruto looked at Kisum without understanding. "How many times should I defeat you? Haven't you had enough?" he asked her calmly. Maybe he laughed at me. You idiot clone. I can smell your diminished chakra pretty easily from here. Uzumaki Naruto, do you think you can kill me with just that amount of chakra?" he asked laughing. Naruto looked back at him, and a red chakra cloak surrounded him. Kakashi extended his hand, and Reikiri crumpled in his palm in a blinding lightning bolt as both of them faced Kisum. "I'm a Hinchuriki, you stupid fish. I beat you with a clone last time. I can do it now too," the Naruto clone said as they ran to meet Kisum with a thunderous sound. Kisum growled as he countered the attacks of Naruto and Kakashi's clone. At the same time, "Come on!" the Naruto clone shouted, and Sasuke nodded as he shot out towards the camera he had pointed at. He mercilessly knocked down the few shinobi guarding the place and reached a set of stairs leading to a room. In an instant, he was at the door and kicked it open. The sight their eyes met would have driven anyone crazy. But I had seen Orochimaru's bases before. The earth outside shook violently, but Sasuke paid no attention when he saw shinobi, who had been used in inconceivably cruel ways. He looked away when he saw Yugao's Ambu team on several tables with various stamps inscribed on them. Even without Sharingan, I knew they were dead. A cold pit of fear formed in his chest as he looked at a table with Yugao lying on it. She seemed to be breathing slowly, but a man was standing over her, scraping something on a notebook. The lab was silent when Sasuke cautiously approached, and the man looked up. Sasuke's eyes narrowed when he recognized Kabuto, and Orochimaru's subordinate smiled in welcome when he saw Sasuke standing in front of him. "Ah," Sasuke-kun said cheerfully. "Very nice of you to join us. Your sensei has created a really delicious experiment material," he said happily, while pointing at Yugao, who was breathing hard. "In truth, she has lifted our efforts by leaps and bounds. Tell her she'll have my gratitude when she wakes up." "What have you done to him?" Sasuke shouted in a voice full of rage as he stared at his sensei's upside-down form. Kabuto chuckled, his glasses glowed softly as he adjusted them to get a better look at Sasuke. "Ah, that's the question," the doctor said cheerfully. "Simply put, we embedded a metal fragment in it and we are observing the effects. It's a fascinating process." Sasuke sighed with relief. That was something that Naruto could easily cure. He had literally rescued his wife from the gates of death, and this was child's play in comparison. Kabuto shook his head as his laughter escalated to manic levels. "You're thinking of Naruto-kun, right?" he asked mockingly. "It won't be easy, Sasuke-kun. I take pride in my precise work. This particular experiment can't be undone as easily as you think." "We'll see," Sasuke said, as Susanoo's purple skeleton came to life once more around him. Kabuto's eyes widened in alarm as the spectral warrior raised his sword in the air. "It's time for you to die," Sasuke growled. "I'm not a fool," Kabuto said, as he looked at the Susanoo with fascination. "I know right now that you are beyond me." "See you later," Sasuke-kun said smiling, and stabbed himself in the stomach with a kunai. Sasuke watched with wide eyes as Kabuto fell forward, his face changing to one of other nameless Otoshinobi. The air shifted slightly as Naruto and Kakashi entered panting. Sasuke nodded as he let Susanoo go and appeared in front of Yugao's table. With a sharp movement, he had gathered her, also listening to the Naruto clone, as he said, "My original is struggling with that disgusting snake. I'm close to dissipating, I'm afraid. The battle with Kisame has taken all my chakra," the clone said urgently. "Our mission is accomplished. We have recovered what the Zanbu are alive, and unfortunately, it is only Yugao Zuki. Original cannot release real force until we are out of this base. So there is no time," Kakashi said while looking at Sasuke, who was trying to revive Yugao. "Sasuke, we have to go. We have the greatest healer ever born on our side. Stop worrying about her for now. Come on." The clone dissipated on the ground, and Sasuke and Kakashi disappeared with shunsins, traversing the labyrinthine structure as fast as they could. They could hear the shriek of some dying animal above them as the sand fell from the roof of the shaking base. "Faster," muttered Kakashi as they ran through the now collapsing base. Naruto and Orochimaru were fighting too violently for them to stay in a safe position. They had to get out fast. He had killed each snake several times, but they seemed to regenerate every time he damaged them. He cut off their head with Raisin Shuriken, threw it to the ground with Odama Rasengan, and literally knocked every inch of the monster to the ground. Otto's shattered village remained as a testimony to that fact. While he was standing on a roof, he saw the annoying snakes of Orochimaru whistling at him. Objectively, I could only admire the technique. He could respect Orochimaru's tenacity. It was literally like his. In fact, in Orochimaru's body, he could feel a good amount of his own life force. Without a doubt, that added a considerable increase in Sanin's abilities. "I must say that this man is simply strange," the Kyuubi remarked nonchalantly. "That jutsu. I've never seen anything like it in all my years. Did you notice that this Orochimaru guy is also a sage? He is using senjutsu to maintain this technique." "I noticed," Naruto said. He wasn't really tired, but the battle was really frustrating him. "Those snakes. They're really bothering me." Only if Itachi was here, that Katsuka sword would have sealed Orochimaru with much less fuss. Isn't it irritating? This thing seems to regenerate, no matter what. You need something powerful to deal with that. Or he shot Bijudama. Or use Makuden ended Naruto when he felt a familiar feeling. He closed his eyes when he felt the knowledge of his wooden clone coming back to him. Kurama, you're done with the mission, she said with relief coloring her tone. Maybe he ran away from me for some reason, and he has Nazuki. They should be out in a few seconds. Then let's show this useless snake excuse what it means to face the Kyuubi and the Shota and Okage at the same time. Growled Kurama menacingly. Naruto smiled as he felt Kakashi, Sasuke and another chakra quickly approaching. His skill with Makuden had greatly increased after his long sabbatical from Konoha, and he felt closer and closer than he had been during the height of his power. He calmed down and extended the palm of his hand towards the 8 snakes that were heading towards him, looting and attacking the remains of the city. His relief only increased when he felt the chakra of his companions in the open air and shouted, "Makuden Makuryu no Jutsu." The village shuddered when the wooden dragon rushed out of the ground, roaring with his mighty roar. As he intercepted the white snakes that were pouncing on him, he circled over the monstrous beasts fluently, catching them safely in his spiral. Naruto smiled as he made the wooden dragon tighten his grip even more and saw Orochimaru trying to release his technique. He dropped to the ground and ran through the shattered village towards the trapped monstrous snakes. The snakes had stopped fighting when the wooden dragon quickly absorbed the chakra of its prey, falling uselessly to the ground. As Orochimaru struggled inside the mouth of the controlling snake, Naruto stood in front of the huge spectacle, watching with a smile as Orochimaru continued his futile efforts to escape. He was quite proud of his technique as he could feel the dragon's power. He looked up as Orochimaru stood motionless, choosing to examine the huge dragon that had so effectively stopped his snakes. "It's over, Orochimaru," Naruto said out loud. "You cannot release your technique when the dragon is actively draining chakra from you. You've caused enough trouble for a lifetime, and I'm afraid it ends here for you." A slight flutter in the air later, Sasuke and Kakashi were at his side, the Uchiha carrying a purple-haired woman in his arms. Ignoring Orochimaru at the alarmed look on Sasuke's face, Naruto ran towards the woman face down. A feeling told him that there was a foreign object in his body, something that didn't belong there. "Lie down," he ordered. Placing a hand on her abdomen, he sent tendrils of chakra all over her body, even while she was convulsing. Finding the fragment in his chest, he tried to take it out with Iryo ninjutsu. And it stopped immediately when the ambo screamed into the sky. Stopping immediately, he quickly drew conclusions. That fragment had reacted strangely. This was bad. Very bad. He looked at Sasuke urgently and spoke, "I can't heal her here. That fragment reacts to the chakra. He buries himself deeper inside her. It is built with Fuinjutsu and requires patience and experience to handle. Mito, Tsunade and I should work together to cure this woman," he said. Crunchy Sasuke nodded with his eyes closed, opening it only when he turned to the trapped Orochimaru. "I will kill you," he said softly, and his eyes transformed into the Magiccio Sharingan. Orochimaru chuckled firm inside his snake as the other 7 fell limply to the ground after all their chakra had been sucked out. Snake Sanin himself was looking at Naruto with a kind of absorbed fascination, not caring that even his chakra was absorbed by the wooden dragon. "Kuchio Senjutsu," Naruto said out loud, and Kakashi and Sasuke looked surprised when a big frog materialized. Naruto looked at the frog, who had 2 crossed swords behind him, and spoke firmly. "Gamero, this shinobi is important to me," he said pointing at Yugao. "Take her to Miobokuzen immediately, and try to hold her as best you can. I will summon you immediately when I get to Konoha. Go now," he screamed. The frog took the ambo with his long tongue, putting it safely inside his body. Then, with a glance at the huge wooden dragon and the trapped Orochimaru, he disappeared with a big puff of smoke. "Don't rush, Orochimaru," Naruto said, as he stopped Sasuke with a hand on his shoulder. "I have no doubt that Akatsuki is watching right now, and I don't want to fight pain when your sensei is hoping to heal so desperately. Perhaps another time, he said, looking at the Sannin snake, whose face was turning pale and sickly like the last one. From the chakra of his 8 serpents it was extracted. The 8 snakes suddenly transformed back into Orochimaru, and the Sannin snake fell to the ground with a thud. Kakashi and Sasuke watched in silence as the wooden dragon dissipated back into the earth, leaving Orochimaru gasping and face down on the ground. "Is she safe?" Sasuke asked desperately, and Naruto nodded. "The toads will keep her safe. Nyobokuzen is soaked in chakras in jutsu, and she will be stable there," he replied as he looked around the devastated village. Otto's destruction was complete once more. But I had no doubt that once again I would be strong again. His position was too strategic to leave it any other way. Your strength is not ordinary." I knew Jade Orochimaru was right as she looked at Naruto from her position on the ground. Naruto looked at him with disgust. I know who you are." He choked, even his considerable life force was drained by the wooden dragon. "I suspected it from the moment I couldn't summon Shirama with Edo Tensei. It was too convenient," he said weakly, and Naruto looked at him apprehensively. "All the evidence points to it. I cannot summon the Shodai from the dead, and here you are with a power and skill astonishingly like his." He gasped as he tried in vain to stand up. He achieved a slumped standing position, so severe was his chakra loss. He looked at the 3 with Oshinobi, his face paler and sicker than ever. "Today just confirms my theories. My body is completely made of his cells. When you used the WAD release, I felt a resonance that I've never felt before. It's too exact. Too coincidental to be anyone else," he concluded as he looked up with a great effort. He didn't flinch, not even when Naruto's sad green eyes met his. "I never thought I'd find you this way," stammered the snake Sannin. "Never like this, Senhua Shirama. To be reborn in the body of a useless Uzumaki child. The most powerful ninja to ever walk the earth after the sage himself." The Sannin asked him wildly, while looking at the impassive Naruto. "I'm afraid you must die, Orochimaru." "I can't keep my word to Jiraiya," Naruto said grimly. "You'll die now." Violet streaks suddenly streaked across Orochimaru's face, and Naruto cursed his own inattention. During his monologue, Snake Sannin had been secretly gathering chakras in jutsu. The Sannin was surrounded by violet chakra plumes, and his mouth opened incredibly, spitting out another Orochimaru that looked completely rejuvenated. "It's just that turn of events," Orochimaru chuckled amid the mangled remains of his the teeming village. "I didn't expect this of all things. It seems that the legends were not exaggerated at all. What a supernatural power, what a force. Cuckoo. It's a good time to be alive." "What are you drooling over?" Sasuke asked dismissively. Orochimaru looked at them with his inhuman eyes and spoke with a sibilant caress. "First of all, I have no intention of telling Akatsuki about your identity." Naruto and the others openly looked shocked by this statement, and it took a few moments for them to recover their minds. Naruto looked at the Sannin calmly. "And why should I believe you?" "Because Orochimaru said. We can come to a mutually beneficial agreement. I don't like Akatsuki, I hate elemental nations, and I detest Konoha. They are all impediments to my goal. To learn all the jutsu in the world?" Kakashi asked sarcastically. Orochimaru shook his head, still looking at Naruto in amazement. "All the jutsu I can learn won't help me against you, will it, Senhua Shirama?" he asked in an almost delighted voice. His whole demeanor seemed to speak of a great euphoria when he fixed his eyes on the reborn Shodai. Naruto concluded that the Sannin was probably crazy, but nodded anyway. Who was he to dispute the truth? He probably disagreed, and Orochimaru nodded. "I thought so too. I am more useful to you alive than dead," he affirmed. "I'll be quite frank with you, Senhua Shirama. I won't stand between you and Akatsuki if I can help it. No one can do that and stay alive for a long time. I don't care if you or Pain are the sellers." What matters to me is my goal. And what is your goal? Naruto asked calmly. I conceived it some time ago. And it has many components. It doesn't matter, he continued, the important thing is that I can help you by giving you information about Akatsuki. Do you agree? He asked. At this, Naruto's eyes widened considerably. We're going to kill him, Sasuke said angrily. He can't cause any problems then. Please, Sasuke-kun, Orochimaru said politely. If you manage to do that, my subordinate Kabuto will see to it that your secret reaches Katsuki immediately. If Tobi finds out about this, he licked with his huge tongue. Not knowing what I could do. It will undoubtedly provoke terrible wars in the shinobi world that we are not ready to fight yet. There is much more to Akatsuki than even you, Esirama, could imagine. Your strength and wisdom are legendary, and I have no doubt that you will choose wisely here. There's not much left to choose from. This young upstart has you by the balls. Snorted the Kirugi, laughing at his own joke. Take it easy, Zoro. Naruto was lost in thought for a few moments. Then he laughed out loud, looking at a slightly disturbed Orochimaru with very funny eyes. Gaara? I have become quite boring in this life. Naruto laughed. Fine. I really can't feel any deception on your part now. Even the Kyuubi cannot feel such a thing, and no evil can escape his senses. It's okay, Orochimaru. We do it your way. But, he whispered, his face darkened. As he untied his chakra, Orochimaru fell to his knees, staring at Naruto with wide eyes. Something that seemed to weigh thousands of tons pressed down on him, crack coming out of Naruto's position all over the village. High-pitched crunching sounds filled the village as several pieces of debris turned into dust that floated in the wind. But if you betray us a second time, you will die, Naruto said in a real voice, letting his huge chakra suddenly dissipate. Orochimaru moistened his lips once. Again, by feeling the Ashibama chakra. He fixed his gaze on Naruto and spoke silkily. Very well. Let's meet at the Heaven and Earth Bridge after you finish healing that Ambu. Don't worry, he said to Sasuke, throwing a piece of metal at him. Make an incision in his body. And hold this metal over it. The fragment inside her will come out and join this one. A funny thing? It is not magnetism, but something else. Something fascinating. It went out. I'm not so sure about this, Kakashi said quietly. Naruto turned to him and said, there is no choice. He knows how to negotiate, he admitted as Orochimaru smiled his inhuman little smile. Then his face became serious. We have to go back to Konoha. And soon. I'm sorry. I have something to take care of. Things are not what they seem to be. Know that I love you, and I have taken upon myself this duty to protect you from harm. I may have been gone for a while. Please forgive me for this seemingly cruel departure. Naruto looked indifferently at the piece of paper that had his wife's handwriting on it. He could hardly believe that Mito had simply left without saying a word to him. 3 years he had wandered the nations to become strong enough to heal her. For 3 years he had trained like never before, reaching intensities in the effort that Jiraiya used to baptize as suicidal. And what did he tell you, Tsunade? She asked him in a low voice, looking at her granddaughter who was looking dejectedly out of the window. She told me to take care of you. That she had something to do that only she could do, the golden-haired Okage replied, in a voice that trembled very slightly. He left Konoha only 2 days after you. You know how hard it is to track her down. The Ukiyas are scarce, and the other censors couldn't do much. He hid with Fuinjutsu. You know he'll be out of Konoha before this time. Naruto paused before crushing the paper. He knew Mito as well as he had known himself. She was always fiercely independent, ridiculously so, but far from being silly. I think she's not after Akatsuki at all, Tsunade, he said with a humorless laugh. She is very similar to Tobirama in that sense. Cunning while attacking enemies. No doubt he would have sought my help if he had gone after pain. Whatever it is, you must be reasonably sure of accomplishing it, he said worriedly. Look, getting up and putting on his white cape, which supposedly made him look like a clone of the John Dame. Naruto. Tsunade said suddenly as she walked towards the door. He paused and turned to look at her curiously, reconciling the images of the girl who had bounced on his knees as Esirama and the full-bodied cynical woman, who saw how Naruto was, at best, confusing to him. But there was no help for it. Tsunade was who she was, and she would gain very little by getting too confused. Yes, Tsunade. You have been invited to the barbecue restaurant on Main Street by the Rockies of your lot to celebrate your return and the successful rescue of our Ambu. I would recommend you to go, he told her kindly. Since your awakening, you have had very little rest. Do you want to? Perhaps it's for the best, Naruto nodded resignedly. The euphoria of defeating Orochimaru was already fading, being replaced by anxiety by his wife. She knew better than anyone that Mito could take care of herself, despite that strange lapse 3 years ago. I was going to respect her wishes and allow her to perform this task that obviously meant a lot to her. But he was not altogether a fool. Makuden Makaben without no jutsu, he said, making a gesture with his hand. 8 wooden clones were born from him, leaving the location office in 8 different directions. They have a chance to find her and track her down. I can't stand by and do nothing. I want to be ready if he needs help, Naruto admitted sadly. Tsunade nodded towards him, looking like she didn't expect anything else. Before he opened his mouth to answer, Naruto had disappeared with a Shunsin blade. He appeared with a swirl of leaves near the BBQ restaurant that Choji loved so much, feeling the ebb and flow of a mostly satisfied humanity around him. The citizens he didn't even know bowed down cheerfully before him, looking appreciatively at his long white cloak and the Senju clan's double trident symbol on his back. Nodding politely to each villager and shinobi, he made his way through the sea of citizens. As she pushed the door open, her eyes fell at the big table that dominated almost the entire living room. Sitting around him was the so-called 9th rookie of his lot, along with a few other relatives. He smiled completely, unable to contain the feeling of joy that was growing inside him as the whole gang stood up as one, vital, fighting wildly when they saw him. Shikamaru and Sasuke applauded silently, and Sakura's excitement was all too evident as she immersed herself in the cheerful atmosphere that permeated the restaurant. Yuzuki Yugao did not escape his attention as he sat demurely next to Sasuke, looking at him with sublime gratitude. Thank you, thank you. He smiled as Rogel excitedly led him to a seat between Sasuke and Sakura. Maybe for a few hours, she could put aside the worries and problems of her 2 lives and just be with the people she cared about. If only Myth were here. Then it would be complete, he thought with an aching heart as the clamor caused by his arrival subsided. Pushing aside his anxiety and fears with difficulty, he looked at his former classmates. So you've become Jounin, he said to Neji, who nodded with a slight smile. Naruto had had minimal interaction with Hyuga previously, but he had heard the rumors. Apparently, Neji was to the Hyuga what Itachi had been to the Uchiha, a genius of the highest level. Then he noticed Yugao's outfit and the underlying tone of sadness in his emotions. She is mourning for her lost companions, Kurama reminded her. The pain went through him because of the horrors that the young woman had probably suffered, the least of which was the loss of her Ambu teammates. All eyes turned to him as he walked towards the Ambo. Blue-haired, holding her gaze with his. The floor beneath him buckled and cracked when he reached out his hand. The stems of several beautiful flowers bloomed as everyone in the restaurant watched in silence. For the ones you lost, she said quietly, handing him the multi-bouquet of flowers. Colors. She accepted his gift with a grateful nod of her head, and he watched her eyes sparkle with tears. For the tiniest of moments before she regained control, a measure of solemnity came over the group at the touching scene, but the ever-enthusiastic Rog jumped on the table and shouted, lifting fist in the air. Youth. Naruto and the rest of Team 7 watched as Lee's unwarranted interruption caused Chuji's food to fly, which angered the burly boy. This is funny, he said with anticipation, as he saw that their proper little meeting turned into a fight. General, while Choji was trying to avenge the loss of his food. It's always like that. Quite a lot, Sasuke said with a grimace. The fight had turned into a fierce food fight, and cups of ramen and barbecue flew everywhere in the restaurant. So much for a quiet meal. With friends. I will never eat with that fat man again, she said in disgust. The restaurant became so silent that Naruto could hear everyone's heartbeat. Sasuke-kun, Sakura said with a growing horror. Sasuke looked from her to Choji, who was bristling with anger. Oh, he muttered as the Akimichi slowly started walking towards him. The next moment, a splashing sound was heard, and Naruto chuckled under his breath as he saw the Choji soup emptied on Sasuke's face. That smile disappeared when he felt Shikamaru's shadow hands empty. A huge bowl of rice over his head. He looked at Sasuke, who returned his gaze. They nodded decisively to each other and turned to the now apprehensive food fighters. It's on, Naruto said with sparkling eyes, and reached for the remaining items on the table in a blur. This is really funny. I must meet with these children regularly. They certainly know how to enjoy life. He thought happily as he and Sasuke spilled a jar of toy each on Sakura and Yugao respectively. The whole thing turned into general chaos and mayhem from then on. Could you stop doing that? Tsunade said as she leaned back in her chair, in response to Jiraiya ogling her impressive breasts. He's old now, Jiraiya. I can even give you a peek if you want right now, she said warily, as her hands reached up to her taut top. Jiraiya's lustful behavior immediately disappeared at this alarming departure from his routine, and he held Tsunade's hand firmly. As he traveled upwards. What's the matter? He asked seriously. You've never, ever voluntarily exposed yourself to me, what happened? He asked. He was rudely surprised for the second time, when Tsunade rested her head on his chest and hugged him tightly. Tsunade, I'm going crazy, he said weakly as he wrapped her in his embrace. It's not that he didn't enjoy her soft breasts pushed against his chest